Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the archived version of the developer commentary run of Mirror's Edge Catalyst that we did as a live stream. This run was done as part of a charity marathon benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is presented without ads, and instead I would like to ask that if you enjoyed this content, please consider donating $1 or $2. You can find links that on the video and in the description. Enjoy.
One of the best feelings you can get is, for me, as a game developer, is people, not necessarily loving your game to bits, but people that like your game enough that they really want to talk about it, and that they have, they've noticed nuances in it that you actually spent time putting into it.
Yeah.
That's just a great feeling.
Yeah, I think like somebody just saying, "Hey, I really appreciate this thing that you did."
Yeah.
And just so many aspects of that is great because, like, oh, you played my game is the first reaction. It's like you played something I made.
Yeah.
But then also like you noticed the things that I did when I was trying to make it better.
Yeah.
There's so many parts of that is really, really cool. There's a question, how is Frostbite compared to other engines? Which people are thinking that we're ignoring on purpose now. We've just been talking about reviews.
Okay.
We can't go into all of the details about the details of Frostbite, obviously, because it is a proprietary engine and all of that. I will say it's built in a very different way than something like Unity or something like Unreal, or at least the latest version of Unreal, where they're super friendly to somebody starting up, right? So they are meant to be quick to learn and quick to get started for a one-man team, and Frostbite is nothing of that. It's meant for a huge team trying to do lots of things at the same time, and that causes some problems when you're trying to test something out and you haven't got the 14 programmers that you need to make something happen. But it also, when you do have those 14 programmers, it makes you have a lot more velocity than you could otherwise do. So it has different, they're also, like, they're working on trying to make it better for smaller teams and stuff, but it's not there yet in terms of that.
No.
So it can be incredibly frustrating to work with, but it also, especially in terms of graphics, it delivers something that very few other engines do.
Yeah. I find myself, I'm working in Unity now, the new studio, and even though I love the speed it gives us, it's also, I find myself missing, some of the things that Frostbite had or has. So it's, but it's actually what Mika said. It's unless you are a good sized team, then it's tricky to do anything in it. I don't think, for instance, that a group of 2 or 3 people trying to mod something isn't necessary.
Oh yeah.
I think Frostbite is just out the window. It's not going to be good for them.
Where am I going? I have lost track completely. This is what happens when you play without runner's vision sometimes. I will do that instead. That's great. Where am I?
This is so frustrating. I can't tell you where to go because I'm
Because you're behind?
Yeah. On the other hand, I did spend a couple of years looking at people playing, being frustrated,
Yep.
So I'm used to it.
Huh. What? Why am I not recognizing this place?
I think you're in. I don't.
guessing that mass tuner thing will cause some serious damage.
Sure.
You're guessing right.
And what about the employees here?
What about them?
Just what I thought. I'm getting them out, Dogen.
Oop.
The fire alarm should do it.
Whatever. If you ask them nicely, I'm sure they'll leave obediently.
But I know that this Benefactor is actually one of the missions that a lot of people got lost in without runner's vision. I think one of the reasons it's such fun to play is also one of the reasons why some people have a hard time finding their way around in it, and it's way more cluttered than the other missions.
Yep.
And which means that you don't see the lines, the guiding lines as well. Okay, I just saw you die. That means how far behind am I?
Probably about maybe half a minute.
Okay.
The mag rope didn't kick in. It just jumped straight off. And you're right, the atrium is probably the closest thing. Probably the closest thing to the atrium in Mirror's Edge Catalyst is this and Top of the World.
Yeah.
Go out of bound after the mag rope pull here. No.
Kruger is heavily invested in reflection.
But yeah, here, like when you're standing in a situation like this is where you're putting probably the most pressure on the engine, because you're showing basically all of the city and you're moving on top of a moving platform, which, by the way, is the most horrible thing ever to make.
Yes.
Frostbite games have had a problem with moving platforms for a long time, and we were very much in the need of them, so we were trying to make them, and at the end we were like, are we ever going to actually get these things?
Yeah. But we did.
But we did. With a bunch of restrictions, but at least we did.
Anything happens to her, Dogen.
Here, this is something that you can go look for if you want.
What discussion? When?
No, I didn't tell you.
This place actually is one of the places where we had a kind of trolley streaming. You'd swing across here, and then just when you were like here, the whole scaffolding would disappear. Lots of
Great fun for everybody involved.
Yep. The people actually get vertigo in this game. I wouldn't actually call it vertigo, but it's kind of a sense of vertigo.
Why didn't you just say that it's a crazy huge pendulum?
Because things should be called by their proper names. Now, you need to dislodge it. There should be 3 support clamps for you.
T-minus 3 minutes before Faith becomes an actual terrorist. Yes, pretty much.
But she did turn on the fire alarm. So all the workers left the building. That was actually a really, really important thing to get in there.
Alarm is needed for more than the fire, though.
That was a tricky thing, because you don't want her. I mean, of course, because you kick guards off the roof, and you do kill a bunch of people in the game, but we didn't want Faith to feel like a killer. I think in any game these days, you basically kill without thinking about what you're doing, because killing, shooting, stabbing is such an established thing to do in games.
And it's such a common mechanism, and pretty much in most games, almost every obstacle is a person that you
kill this thing to proceed.
Yes.
We really didn't want it to feel like that, but we realized fairly quickly, that we can't stop the player from, if we put combat on the rooftops, people are going to kick the guards down from them, and is it going to be worth the hassle to try to stop them?
In speedruns, we only play a fire alarm prank on workers and leave. That is true, because they skip this entire piece.
Oh, really?
Yep. They skip all the way up to the exit and never actually drop the pendulum.
Yeah. The pacifist.
A charming character flaw we both share.
Yeah, sort of glitch out of a wall hereabouts and end up here somewhere. Not there. That's not where they end up.
I expect Kruger said
Press F to
Here
become
I
terror.
am dead man walking. So I'm just gonna dump.
So the one actually interesting thing is that we are not using the word terrorist in the game. They're called breachers, and that was also an intentional thing. We didn't want to use because the word terrorist is so loaded, and it immediately people associate the wrong things with it. So we didn't use that word.
$16 per core abilities. Yep. Let's try that again.
Policy breachers, exactly.
Whoa. Glitch out much.
I expect Kruger Sec are sending people to investigate this little accident as we speak.
Oh wow. Racking up the score.
I get to see the deaths 30 seconds later than it's here.
Yep. No save point. What is this?
That thing tore through the entire building. I didn't.
As intended. It'll be some time before a Nazi recovers from that.
Oh, now I see that. That is actually a fairly common way to die. Because it looks like you're supposed to go there.
A charming character.
But you're supposed... I mean, if you just...
You can go there too.
Okay.
I usually go that way, but
Enjoy the view, but don't stick around. I expect Kruger Sec are sending people to
not this time apparently.
accident as we speak.
You just have to time this landing better. Let's go the boring way.
For such a rich company, you'd think they'd have much better defenses from the giant pendulum dropping through their building than a few unguarded chips. Yeah, but it wasn't finished yet. They're constructing the building, right? They would have added security measures, I'm sure.
Those come in last.
Yeah. This is the thing about games. Sometimes the objectives aren't always the best in that sense.
And sometimes you just accept it too, because like trying to make all of those things like super realistic wouldn't actually add that much to the game.
No, it would probably not be fun. I think it just has to feel real as you're playing it. And then if you stop and think about it afterwards, you can maybe realize that, okay, what the hell did I just do?
Here's an interesting one. What's the building supposed to collapse at some point? When we envisioned this, it was sort of well, the idea was there needs to be a big event.
Yeah.
I think at the start of that, the idea was the building collapses, but it fairly quickly became unfeasible.
Yeah. I think. Let's see. I must try to remember here. Yeah, it was gonna collapse partly, but I mean the big silhouette was always planned to be there. But I think this was something we cut early.
Yeah, it was pretty early.
Yeah. I really wish there were more points like the garden. I mean, that was the.
How do you know she's my child?
Basically, I mean, that was the.
How do you know she's my child?
Basically, anything green is only for the super mega rich.
Like you did?
So.
We actually had many many times where our art director would send out like,
No, it's not
these
your fault.
trees out here need to be less green.
Yes.
Somebody put in a little bit too greenish tree over the view, and he would go like, oh, these need to be white.
Yeah. I think most of the trees in the view ended up cherry blossom, right?
Yeah, they're like pink.
Yeah. Which is incredibly beautiful. Plastic heart. Yeah.
I've tapped into Kruger's tech comms, and they're talking about some runner being trapped. I bet it's her. The metagrid really is worth tapping into. You should hear the things the families talk about. A lot of them are worried about reflection, and there are those who think
I used to think the shard was placed in the water far away from the city because it would make less technical issues. No, the reason it's far away out in the city is because you're supposed to be able to see it from almost anywhere.
It is also much larger in the backdrop than it is when you're there.
Yeah. It wasn't to begin with, but that was. I think it's 2.5 kilometers high in the backdrop. One of the level artists actually, he sent out an image to the team where he took the shard and just basically rotated it 90 degrees, and it covers everything. It's as big as the rest of the city, more or less. The backdrop version. But when you actually get to it and play in it, you play in a shrunken version of it.
I'm at the terminal.
Why did you guys remove the crunch noise from Faith's Falls? That was actually also an early choice. This time not by me or Mika, but by the audio director. I think because you hear it so often, and it's such a horrible crunch. I think we wanted to emphasize the fall rather than the landing.
Yeah, one of the things I heard was it needs to not feel absolutely horrible to die in this game.
Yeah, because you die a lot.
Because it needs to feel okay, just try again.
Yeah. And but we did have during development we had different gasps from Faith as she falls through the air, and I know that we had one version earlier which was terrifying enough. Basically, the poor. I don't think it was actually proper, or it wasn't an actress. It was just somebody in the studio that recorded they were like somebody. You really felt like you were falling to your death every time. So I think even that got. I think the when we got the real Faye to do the falling noises, we toned it down a bit. How far was the development of the game when it was first announced at E3? Not far at all. It was in I guess concepting and prototyping phase, more or less. Wilhelm Scream. I don't think we have one. I think I don't think the Wilhelm Scream is in the game.
They removed it, right? Because there was one at one point.
Yeah, I think our audio director
I objected strongly to this.
freaked out. We did have other screams.
There's no scream at all when you throw somebody off a building anymore.
No,
right?
I think no. Oh God! Somebody asked about the funniest glitch. We had this amazing thing in release where there was a VTOL, one of the helicopters was dropping off enemies at a nearby rooftop, and they were basically just there to be, scenery, to have Krugersec, in the distance, and but there was no collision on the roof where it dropped the guards. So it just kept feeding guards, and we had audio for falling guards back then, and I think the audio basically played for as long as the guards kept falling. So there was this as you were playing through the mission. And I know I brought my son to work, so he played that version of the mission, and he just kept laughing. And then when he played the real released game, he actually, why did you remove those falling guards? Why did you fix that?
Did you help me out, babe?
That was fun.
It's raining men, yes.
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
I know it's been rough coming back.
It was I mean, they were dropping down on a backdrop building, and nobody had bothered to build physics for it because it's just a backdrop. You weren't ever going to be there.
Get that damn drive off of my dead square.
It's just, yeah, that was funny.
It's always a fair share of those type of moments where you just stuff goes hilariously wrong.
Yeah.
Whoops. This is not a good thing to be doing when they are shooting me. And that's not a good thing either.
See, what design iterations did the loading screen go through? I mean, to be honest, we actually didn't want that many of them. I mean, they're the streaming handles. There are tons of places when there isn't a loading screen, when the streaming really does its job. But when you die and stuff like that, you obviously have them. I mean, they're very much a standard type of loading screen now, right? They show a hint, and then we basically try to get rid of them as quickly as we can.
I don't think we had that many different. What we did have was an early collection of hints.
Yeah.
That was not entirely shippable. They just gathered up a few, funny things from.
Yeah.
I think possibly whoever made the loading screen just put in whatever they thought was fun for a while.
Yeah, I think Anders did that.
I might have done that, and some of them were just fun. Some of them were
not shippable.
Making fun of other games. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So we had this in some demo version or whatever. Had that version, and somebody got properly upset.
Yeah. But one of those early jokes actually is in the game. It stayed. I kept that one. That was the
one that's no longer true, right?
Yes, that's no longer true. Damn it!